What's going on, bro? Welcome to the video. My name is David Esparza, aka David Gaines, and tomorrow is my birthday. I turn 28 years old, the big 2-8, getting lean and jacked, feeling better than ever. Like I said, just learning and growing every single day, getting closer to God. And essentially what brings me to the topic of the video is basically just, if I were to go back when I was 18 years old, 10 years ago, like what advice would I give my younger self? That way it can help you guys out, especially and help you guys learn and grow as you, start developing in your journey of life, right? So without further ado, got some things jotted down here. So basically some advice that I would give my younger self if I was to go back 18 years old. And number one, probably going to be learn a high income skill. Education out there, especially on the internet, that you can basically learn any type of skill, in the comfort of your home, right? So whether that's, day trading, sales, copywriting, video editing, all these high income skills, as soon as you learn it and develop it and master it, it's going to stay with you. And essentially you can be financially free as soon as you learn the skill, right? Because you have the knowledge, you know what you're doing, you are creditable, and you can start building, yourself, start building your business. And as long as you have internet and a Wi-Fi connection, you can, essentially work wherever the hell you want and when you want, right? So that would be my tip number one, is to learn a high income skill. There is a lot of education out there that you can learn any skill that you want in the comfort of your home. That's the whole world of the internet. So number two, don't get a girlfriend, bro. Girlfriends and girls are going to distract you from your true purpose in your life. And I found this out the hard way because, I was 18, still virgin, never kissed a girl. And, I was always shy and not confident and never really spoke to girls in high school. So, when I started to gain some confidence in working out and starting to gain attention from girls, that's when, I started chasing women at this point, right? So, and, I lost track of my goals, wasn't really doing the things that I should have been doing. Instead, I was out there fucking chasing women, right? Wasting my time, and essentially got into a relationship that, pretty much ended 7 years later. So all that time wasted when I could have been developing, learning multiple skills, building businesses, all that good stuff, right? So, definitely a learning lesson. But if you do have a girlfriend, just make sure you have your purpose, you know what you want to do, and you tell her that, so that way she can support you. And if she doesn't, then obviously she's not going to be the one for you, because, if you're trying to achieve your goals and chase your purpose and chase your dreams, you got to put your whole energy into that. And that could take away from your guys' relationship and, might not work out, bro. So like I said, do not get a girlfriend. Focus on yourself. Stop chasing women and literally just find out what you'd want to do, build your vision, and start building that foundation and learning every single day to achieve your goals. So number three, get absolutely freaking jacked, get shredded, build some muscle. A lot of people respect a man that has, a good physique, right? Because it shows a lot of discipline. You have to stick to a diet, stick to a workout plan. And over the years, that takes a lot of discipline, shows you're hardworking, and, just it's impressive, right? So, you get a lot more respect. You feel a lot more confident about yourself because you look good, you feel good, and you start to get recognition. And working out is just overall good for your health and good for your mental. So absolutely hit the gym 5 to 6 times a week. Get on a meal program and, figure out what you need to be eating. Macros, carbs, fats, proteins, your calorie intake, and absolutely get strong in the gym, man. But if you are 18, between 18 and 21, probably 25 at the most, stay away from steroids. I know a lot of people on the internet like to gratify taking steroids because you literally go from like the ground all the way to the top in a very short period of time. And that's basically just going to ruin your journey with your fitness, because you could fall off and you could grow rapidly and like lose it right away. So you get that instant gratification, right? You get big, you get jacked, but you can lose it very rapidly. So just stick through it. Your fitness journey is going to take a while, because it does take a while to build muscle. So just stick through it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So just fall in love with the gym and try not to take any type of shortcuts, right? So next one on the list, number 4, is going to be build your social medias. Or essentially, if you want to just stick with one, I should have just stuck with building my YouTube channel. At the time when I was 18 years old, fitness was really big, getting really big on YouTube, and I started doing YouTube, documenting my fitness journey. Went to Alpha Elite, was getting all like Gymshark, doing the drones, sick workout edits and everything like that. And I should have just kept building it, because essentially it could have turned into a online coaching business, or fitness business, or clothing business, supplement business. Sponsorships could have came in. All that time, 10 years later, I could have already had my fitness channel, my YouTube channel, my business channel. I could have had all of these things if I would have just kept doing it over time, right? But obviously my mind was elsewhere, and I stopped working towards my purpose, stopped working towards my dreams, and essentially stopped growing my YouTube channel or my personal brand, right? Because there is a lot of money to be made in the social media world, not only if you want to just build a business, but also if you want to be affiliated with companies and bring them in money and stuff like that. You get sponsorships, you get commission. It's basically a sales job. Grow your social media. It's pretty much just free marketing at this point. I would highly recommend you be a creator, not a consumer, because that's how you get stuck. That's how they keep you trapped. And so start growing your social medias, whether that's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Just stick to one and grow from there. That way, and then once you do grow, you can then venture off into the other platforms as well. So really all just depends on what you want to do. If you want to grow rapidly, I would try Instagram or TikTok, just the short form content. But if you're really just trying to build a community and help other people, go ahead and jump onto the YouTube channel. Just give advice, give value, and eventually this is going to this is going to reach a certain person, and they will support you throughout your journey, right? So number 5 on the list is going to be, do not do drugs. Do not go out there, start drinking, partying, smoking, all that stuff, bro. Just leave that stuff, get that stuff out of your life. It's only going to slow you down. Definitely slowed me down drastically, because during college I was always out there smoking, drinking, partying, chasing women, like I said, just not doing anything productive with my life and building something for myself. And that really just wasted a lot of time. It could have been a lot further, but it is a lesson that you had to learn. And essentially that is what I'm trying to teach you guys, so that way you don't make the same mistakes I did. That way you can be a lot more ahead than 99% of the people out there, right? So stop doing drugs, stop drinking every night, every weekend. Just lock yourself in your room and get to work. Alrighty, and then number 6 here is going to be to honestly get closer to God, have a relationship with Him, seek His friendship, and He will bless you, in your life to come. Because, I really did not have a close relationship with God at all until like the past year or so. And it truly just helps you a lot, especially when you are going through tough times, and you have somebody to lean on, you have somebody to kind of talk to, And you know, if you have, you know, your faith in God, he is going to protect you no matter what, because he does have a plan for you and he wants you to succeed. He doesn't, obviously he is, or you are, you know, his child. Obviously, you know, father doesn't want his child to struggle or, you know, fail. So obviously, as long as you are putting in the work and you're showing him that you want to be successful, he will help you out throughout your journey, right? So that's a lot of, you know, that is kind of something that I've learned, you know, as I, you know, read scripture and get close to God himself, and he will lead you down the right path. But if you are straying away, you know, from the path that he has for you, you know, you're only going to disrespect him, and he is not going to bless you how he should, right? Because like I said, if I was, you know, when I was 18, going out there doing drugs, drinking, chasing women, you know, not necessarily working on myself, building my mindset at all, you know, when times got tough, you know, they really got tough, and there was only one person to go to, and that was God. So that is pretty much number 6. You know, just have that relationship with him, seek his wisdom, and he will grant you with blessings. So the next one here is going to be number 7, and that is read and seek wisdom, right? So growing up, I was never really a big reader, and that kind of set me back a lot too as well, because, you know, I was never really a good reader. You know, growing up as a kid, had some learning issues, but when I was going through, you know, my breakup, what I turned to get my mind off of things was, you know, books here, right? So I started to read a lot just to, you know, clear my mind, get my mind off the current situation that I was in. And books are a great way to, you know, learn a years and years of experience in, you know, like a 300-page book, right? You could probably finish a book or two in like 300, or you could probably finish a book or two in probably like a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending on how much you are reading a lot. But, you know, it's not good to, you know, soak up all this information, because it's going to be really hard to retain it. So try to read one book a month. That way you can retain the information. You don't want to just read something just to read it and go through the motions. That's not going to be very, you know, productive. So I would say try to get a book read each month, and while you are reading, go ahead and, you know, annotate while you read. That really helps you digest the information that you are reading as well. Another great way to do this is if you buy like a hardcover or like a paper book, you can also listen to it. So if you know, are looking at it and hearing it at the same time, there's some studies that show that, you know, you retain that information, you know, a lot more than where you are just reading it by yourself, right? So it's a good way to, you know, learn a bit more and read and seek that wisdom. That way you learn from other people's, you know, mistakes or what they've gone through, everything like that, right? So go ahead, get some books, self-development, anything like mindset, finance, or whatever you are trying to learn. So anything educational there. So we are getting a little bit to the end of the list here. Next one is going to be, you know, don't be afraid to fail, because that is where you learn the most. You will learn from your failures, because every L that you take is going to be a lesson, right? There's a lesson in everything. And, you know, you pretty much have to fail in order for you to succeed. If you don't fail and you come into success right away, you can see this. Like, let's just say somebody won the lottery like overnight, right? Or you got rich overnight. You tend to lose that because you didn't go through the hard times to get to what you wanted to get, right? So don't be afraid to fail. Go out there, fail, get up, try again, get up, try again, get up, try again. It also says in the Bible, a man will fall 7 times and get up again, right? So every single time you fail, just take it as a lesson. Take the uppercut on the chin, right? Get your ass back up, try it again until you succeed, right? So That is basically how you're going to come into success. Failing does not feel good, right? Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody, especially if you're a competitive person, you don't want to lose. And me especially, I am a competitive person. I hate losing. Losing and failing just makes you, mad and pissed off. So, you use that anger, that rage to, get better. That way you don't make the same, mistake. And that way you learn from your lesson. And that way when you do come back into whatever it is that you're doing, you ultimately kill your goal, you crush it, and you find success, right? Alrighty, second to last here is pretty important, especially if you are 18, just graduated high school, you don't know what you want to do with your life, and everybody is pushing college onto you. This happened to me. My family pretty much pushed college onto me. Hey, you got to go to college, you got to go get an education, like any family would do. Like if you don't go to college, you're not going to get a good job, this and that, right? So my advice for you, if you do not have your college fully paid for by scholarships, or you don't have a full ride, you're not going for like sports or anything, or if you're not going for like be it a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, if you're not doing like, if you're not going to go for those major reasons that you actually need that degree to go into, do not go to college, bro. You're just going to waste time. You're going to waste money, right? Because you're going to be learning from somebody that doesn't even know or doesn't even have any experience in there, right? Because essentially if you go to if you go and major in business, most of the time those professors, they've never really owned a business in the first place, right? They just get paid to tell you how to market, everything like that, when you can pretty much learn everything online. Or you can pay a mentor to kind of help you, teach you what you want to, build your career in. So some people will go to college and get into $80,000 or $100,000 in debt, like myself, instead of paying a couple $1,000s from somebody to learn from somebody to teach them a skill or how to build their business online, because they think that online courses, mentorships are a scam, when the real scam is college, right? So if you are thinking about going to college, just kind of really sit with yourself, think about whether you really should go or not. Or if you want to, just kind of get a taste of the college world, I would just get your gen eds out of the way at a junior college, or what are those colleges called where it's like it's not a university, it's like in my hometown they're called like Joliet junior colleges. I forgot what the heck they're called, but not the universities, and where you can just go there, get your gen eds out the way, and then kind of figure out what you want to do from there. Honestly, I think college is for the experience. You get to be surrounded by a whole bunch of people, kind of network with like a lot of different people, and just have that college experience, right? You get to go out, party, everything like that, meet a whole bunch of great people. But honestly, that's the only thing that the college kind of brought into my life. And essentially, if you have friends that are going to universities, just if they invite you to a party and you want to go see what college is like, go with them, figure it out, right? So that is the second to last tip that I would give you, is really just kind of sit with yourself and figure out if you want to go to college or not. Me personally, if I were going to go back in time, I would not go to college. I would have done the things that I told you before, was build my YouTube channel, build my business, and learn along the way, right? So, and then the last thing, last but not least, probably not the most important, but it does play a big part. You really need to build your mindset. This comes a big part in your life when you start to face adversities. A lot of people nowadays, they're kind of weak. They lose, their mindset. They have a weak mindset. They want to be comfortable. They don't want to do things that are hard. You know, they don't want to go work out. They don't want to count their calories. They don't want to read books. They don't want to build a business. They just want to go work into their 9 to 5, complain about their life, not put in any extra work whenever they do clock out. And you know, they just have that weak mindset, right? The devil takes control over them and they be comfortable. They're complacent. They don't want to do anything productive with their life, right? They just want to clock in, clock out, and relax. And that is where a, you know, strong mindset comes into play, because if you always have this negative mindset, you're going to limit yourself, you're going to doubt yourself, you're going to have temptations, distractions, and you're overall not going to be in control of your life, right? If you look at all these successful people, you can just tell by the way they speak, the way they act, the way they move. It's all up here. They fix this up here, because as soon as you can control your mind and control your thoughts and the way that you think, you're literally unstoppable. You have full control over your life and what you do and the outcome of it, right? That is why it's so important to be careful on what you consume, what you say, what you do, because it all starts in the mind, right? As soon as you wake up, your mind is racing non-stop. Even while you're sleeping, you have those dreams, right? That's all created in your mind. So as soon as you can control on the things that way you think, you know, it's only going to get better. So, you know, they say the scariest thing in this world is a man that has full control over his mind, because, you know, he can't be controlled. And that is what they try to do with the mass populations, is they try to control, they try to tame, for them to have power over you, right? So highly recommend that you start listening to like podcasts, motivational stuff, build discipline for yourself, read like positive mental health books, because, you know, we live in a world where mental health is, you know, big awareness. You know, suicide rates are through the roof, and, you know, we need to help one another stay strong mentally, because it can take over you, can control you, and that is not what we want, right? So that is my advice to you guys. If you are currently under the age of 28, take my mistakes and implement them into your life. That way you do not make them as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.